outside of that, you also appeared on Gordon Ramsay's The F Word. People in the Caribbean who watch Gordon Ramsay would be probably more familiar with Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
The F Word, despite
It's
its
a nice
name,
one.
despite its name, is more sedate. Isn't
Yeah, it's
it?
more sedate. It's
but
a nice
you did
one.
appear on it. What was it like? Because I mean, to get there, it couldn't be any easy feat, could it?
No, well, at the end of the day, I've opened the restaurant and I just do what I'm doing. I do to run the business, to pay my bills and support my family. That's what I do. And it was down to the customers that came in here that applied and said, this guy needs to go on there. He's got so much passion, and it got broke down from so many thousands of people to the last 18. And this is for one of the best restaurants. The competition was the best restaurant in Great Britain. And I got broke down to the last 18 restaurants.
Tell us about the elimination process.
The elimination process was basically you've got a certain amount of applications and there might be 20,000 people applying for it. But I might have had 5,000 votes, so that's brought it down to 10,000 restaurants. And then they will have a telephone conversation. They get on well with you over the telephone conversation, then it brings it down to 6,000 restaurants. So they eliminate the ones that, right, you haven't got enough votes, you're out. Right, you're not that good on the telephone, we can't keep you, you're out. And then what they'll do, they'll send the people up to interviewers, and then they'll bring back the tape back to Gordon Ramsay. He'll watch it and it'll break it down to another 1,000. Right, the other 5,000, you're out, we've got 1,000 people now. And then they'll sit down, interview me, interview the staff, then it'll bring it down to the last 100. And then after that, they'll come up, taste the food, and then they eliminate and break it down to the last 18. So what we did, it was Gordon Ramsay's, JB, he's one of his head waiters, an Italian guy. He came up, he saw how we ran in the restaurant, how polite we were, the menu choice, and then we had to cook for him. So we cooked a rum pork dish. So the rum pork's a nice Caribbean rum, dark rum. That must have got him. That must have got him. And the next thing, he went on the phone and he says to Gordon Ramsay, I've eaten at places all around the world and this guy must go through the food, the textures, the flavors, the passion for what he's doing, and that brought me down to the last 18. Then we went on the competition. I brought my little sous chef Sean, who was here from. So I like to give young kids a little opportunity. His auntie rang me up one day and she says, I've got my little nephew, have you got a job for him? And at this time with the restaurant, we were struggling. We were struggling to try and get this Caribbean food over to people, saying, it's a safe haven, the food's not too spicy.
Never mind what I look like, and you're going to be all right.
Yeah, we'll look after you, man. Come through the door, we'll look after you because there's a little bit of a barrier, but come on, we'll look after you. And we'll make sure everything you're taken care of. We'll treat you with manners. Come taste the food. This is one of the best foods in the world. Come over, taste the food. So they've come in, but we're struggling. And at that time, I didn't have anything for Sean. But I pushed the boat out and I says, well, I can't really pay him that much, but if he comes out, he can come in and do some, get him off the street. I don't want him on the street to do no badness. So he come as a little pot wash. He showed a little bit of interest. I said, all right, then what I'll do, I'll send you to college. So I sent Sean to college, ended up being one of the top students for his year. And the next thing is on
the F Word.
That's broadcasted all around the world. This young kid can't believe it. So now people that are wanting more chefs to come to college to learn, they want him to be the face of new people coming to college. So he can't believe what's gone on. So from somebody that was a pot wash that couldn't even cook beans on toast to be cooking as one of the F Word finalists, best restaurants in England, and then now being a face for more young kids to come and cook. He can't believe what's going on.
And Sean is barely 20.
He's just gone 20, Sean.
Yeah.
He's just gone 20.
And he's on the F Word and recognized around Huddersfield.
He gets a little bit, every so often he chats and he gives just a little clap between, and he's bringing back down to a little level.
So when that call was made to Gordon Ramsay and said, look, this guy has to be on this F Word, what went through your mind? You didn't call your wife again, did you?
No. I would have heard that from her. No, what went through my mind was I just take things in my stride. And before that telephone call went on, in my mind I went, I'll just cook as how I cook. If I get on, I get on. My expectations in life aren't too heavy. If I get on, I get on. If I don't, I don't. I'm not going to lose much sleep over it. But we got to this. We got to at least the people coming. But when I heard the guy saying he's got to go on, then I really wanted it. Then my expectations jumped from here to there. When I heard him saying I wanted it. I want it then. And then when Gordon Ramsay ran me back and says, Barrington, how many covers can you do in your restaurant? And I said, I can do 36 in one sitting. And he turned around to me and says, well, you're going to have to learn how to do 50 because you're one of the chosen ones that's going to come to London. I couldn't believe it. I thought, you know what? From me struggling and not paying a £10 bill, I can see that there's light at the end of a tunnel. It's giving me some inspiration. I'm doing something right with this food because I've had people saying, why are you opening this restaurant? Caribbean food will not work. And I'm saying it can work. It's one of the best foods in the world. It can work and it will work. And I put the whole of my life in this and I'll make sure it works. And with Gordon Ramsay asking me to come down and appearing on that show and voted me as one of the best Caribbean restaurants in Great Britain and one of the 18th best restaurant in the world, it was a lifesaver.
What did it do for your restaurant?
It dug me a grave because we had to cook so much food. It transformed us into people being able to walk through the door into you have to book 10 weeks in advance to get into this restaurant.
Let's get that right.
From this restaurant.
If I want to eat here at Discovery Bay.
Before the F word.
Before the F word, I could
walk in.
Since the F word.
You better ring because you will get this. When I went on that show, it was 10 weeks in advance before you could get in. You could not just walk through that door. You had to ring 10 weeks before and ring to book a table to get into this restaurant.
Wow.
That's what the F word did to me. And it's made me tired ever since. I've never cooked as much curry goat in the whole of my life. Rice and peas. I don't want to see no more rice and peas.
10 weeks?
In advance to get in.
Do I seem like I'm stuck on this?
Yeah, 10 weeks in advance to get into this place.
That's success.
It has. It's moved us right up. It's moved us right up for different flavours. We're on a back street, but at the beginning, I couldn't afford to go up on the main strip. The main strip's rent, the rates, the decor, it would have crippled me. So I thought, since I'm not a restaurateur and I'm opening a restaurant, let me just start off small and then let me educate myself into knowing how the menu goes, knowing how to serve people, knowing how to do this, and then as the years go on, save my money, and then I can move on to a bigger spot. Instead of moving to a bigger spot, can't afford the bills, and that is when the restaurant goes after 6 months. Let me get a place where I can manage it easily, pay the bills, learn the cuisine, learn how to treat people, learn the menus, learn the marketing, and then move on from that. And I think this is a steady growth, what I'm doing with the restaurant, and how I feel fit to put Caribbean food over to European people. Just tread lightly, give them a taster, then move on. Give them a bit more, give them a bit more. And this is when we can see that more stuff will get exported from the Caribbean over to Europe.
And you've also gone beyond Gordon Ramsay's F word and roads around the Caribbean. There's more success as well. You're called to...
Yeah, I've just been filming again for Channel 4. It's something called The Iron Chef, and that's broadcasted. It's a massive show in America. So there was near on 20,000 applicants again for that show, and they wanted 20 people for a 4-part series. So I was cooking for 4 days, and there's 5 different chefs over 4 weeks. So I was a chosen one again. This is it. They said it's something different. It's a new taste. And if people from Channel 4, and we've got all Michelin star chefs, and we've got people that cook chef in the Ivy that have got rosettes, and they've been cooking for 30 years. And there's me with my new flavours, and the people that are judging it are thinking, this is something different. And if these people can pull me out and they're expert on food, then they know Caribbean, it's our time. It's our time for our flavours.
There was the time royalty came calling as well.
Yes, yes. Oh, this man's really not. Where do you know me from? You know the whole of my life.
No, there are certain things I won't share.
Yeah, we did. We did. The Queen and the family was looking for the to do something to celebrate the abolishment of slavery. It was a 200-year abolishment of slavery, and they'd already chose somebody. And just by coincidence, I've got an outside catering division. We was cooking at a solicitor's place, and we did the food. And the scout to get the person to do this for 2,500 people, he was in the place. He never knew a Caribbean person was doing the food, and I never knew anybody was there. And the man loved the flavours of the food, and he rang me up a couple of days later, and he asked me, would I like to represent the Caribbean islands for the north of England, to cook for Lord Lassell, the Queen's cousin.
Of course you said no.
Of course I said no. You're
Who wants to do that?
You what? I was there, yes. God, that was a lifesaver again, because it got me on the television, where again we were just ticking over. We were just paying the bills. We were just looking just to pay the bills, not even paying the bills, and that was a lifesaver. So they put me on the television again. More people from Yorkshire heard about the restaurant, so then that was a lifesaver again for people to come in to the restaurant and just big it up a little bit more, but just to represent the Caribbean again, going over and cooking for Lord Lassell, and the preparation for 2,500 people. That was, again, I'm just looking to open a little restaurant, and that's it. And the world, it's embracing me. You're doing something right, Barrington, and people are inviting me. It's exactly like this. Gonna do this for Rum and Rhythms. British Airways is sponsoring it. Sandals Hotel, Grace Foods is sponsoring it. You know what? There's so many chefs and so many Caribbean restaurants in London. I'm thinking, why do you want me? There's nothing special about me. I've done what I'm doing. Why do you want me? You could have asked anybody else. So I'm so pleased. Rum and Rhythms, British Airways, Sandals and Grace, all these people have asked me to come down there and showcase some of the food that I'm doing. It's an honor.
I'm asking all of this as we talk about Rhodes and Ramsay and royalty and all of that, to lead to that question, to this question, about how powerful Caribbean tastes and recipes and dishes and Caribbean foods could be.
Yeah.
Because all of what you're doing is Caribbean, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Caribbean. It's Caribbean, but like I say, it's a fusion of Caribbean. Like what I'm trying to say, we're going back many years ago, where the migrants came to the Caribbean islands and they brought their influences of food. The Chinese came with their rice, Indian people came with their curry, came from Africa with sweet. To build up the Caribbean, everybody was freed from slavery and people came back to the Caribbean. And we've stuck to the same thing, and I want us to grow as a race of people and bring this food together. Let's evolve where, like I say, I'll incorporate coconut cream and coconut milk, but with Savoy cabbage, and using pancetta, but we're using English cod, but we've got the jerk seasoning. Yeah, the jerk seasoning, for me, it can bring so many different places around the Caribbean to get more out of it, because there's so many spices that go in jerk seasoning, whether it's nutmeg, whether it's pimento, and we've got Grenada it's called Spice Island. There's more spices grown there than anywhere than all of the world put together. So what we've got, if we're selling a certain amount of jerk seasoning in a bottle, and the people in England are black people, and we sell it to black people, we've got a certain amount of people that's buying it. But if we've got certain elements of a dish, and then the English people, where there's where black and Afro-Caribbean and mixed race people is a makeup of between I'm sure it's between 6 and 10% of the population of England. If we can get the other 40% of the British public buying the jerk seasoning, we've got so many pimento berries that we've got to grow. We've got so much Scotch bonnet pepper we've got to grow. We've got so much nutmeg, we've got so much cinnamon, we've got so much things that just in that one bottle of sauce, there's so much economical growth that can happen throughout the Caribbean. And that is one product.